Hello and welcome everyone to this MoviTHERM hosted webinar broadcast. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedules to join us. My name is David Bursell. I'm the Vice President of Business Development here at MoviTHERM. I have with me Mr. Marcus Tarrin, the President, CEO, and founder of MoviTHERM. You'll be hearing from Marcus very shortly. Today's broadcast is the second in a series of two, focusing on the subject of early fire detection, with a specific emphasis on the MoviTHERM IEFD solution. Chapter 1 of this broadcast series is currently available for viewing on the MoviTHERM YouTube channel. The agenda that we prepared for you today is as follows. First, I will conduct a brief review of the content that we covered in Chapter 1. Next, Marcus will introduce the IEFD Cloud. This is the cloud-based application that drives the IEFD solution. We think of it as the backbone to the solution. After that introduction, Marcus will share with you an IEFD configuration example. We'll then wrap up with a question and answer session. By way of review from our Chapter 1 of this broadcast, MoviTHERM is located in Irvine, California. We have been in business for more than 23 years. We have 11 employees and are growing. Our focus is primarily on thermal imaging solutions in industrial applications, including IoT cloud monitoring, quality inspection, infrared non-destructive testing, and we also provide custom services and solutions. Our vision here at MoviTHERM is making hindsight irrelevant with smart thermography solutions that enhance awareness and simplify the complex. And that is exactly what our IEFD solution does. So what is this IEFD solution? Well, IEFD is an Internet of Things-based early fire detection solution that connects thermal imaging and various other fire sensing technologies to detect fire formation at the earliest stages. Some of the benefits of IEFD include lower hardware and maintenance costs, no software to install, easy access from any internet-connected device, and remote health monitoring to ensure that the system is always up and running properly. Some of the key features of IEFD include IR cameras to detect hotspots, IoT integration of various fire sensing technologies, customized notifications, reliable and robust cloud-based connectivity, automatic access to any performance upgrades, and automation output controls for extinguishing systems, external alarms, or other external processes. And if you want to learn more, again, please review the Chapter 1 recording of this broadcast series. Let's turn our discussion now to the backbone of the IEFD solution, which is IEFD Cloud. IEFD Cloud is the software application that connects the fire detection sensors. It monitors the health of those sensors. It presents measurement trends, alarms, and health status of those sensors. It can automatically generate and share status reports. It generates email, text, and voice notifications. It can present map view dashboards to first responders and so much more. So at this point of the broadcast, let's invite Marcus Tarrin into the discussion. And Marcus, would you mind talking about the facilities aspect of IEFD Cloud?
Yeah, we have here, you can actually see an actual screenshot of our cloud solution. And we can not only just focus on a particular local facility, we can tie globally multiple facilities together and bring them all into one intuitive user interface. So this is just the high level facilities view. You see those green pins. Those are two facilities, one in Salt Lake City, one in Phoenix. And then one we have here where you see right away the red pin, there's an alarm condition, right? So, and you see on the list here too, you see like an arrow there. So you can drill in, you can click on it, drill into what's going on there. But imagine how powerful this is if you are a multinational or global institution or company. You probably have more than one location where you need to monitor something, right? And now you can bring all of these things together. So it's not just scalable with respect to the number of sensors, it's also with the localities. You can bring them all over the place and manage them all from one central location if you like. You can still do this locally, but that's kind of the power of this interface. This is indeed unlimited. You can create as many dashboards if you like. You can assign them to different users, to different use cases, because everybody has a certain preference in terms of how do you digest data? What's the most logical way for you to look at the data? There's also from the data consumers, the people that look at this data, there's also different needs, right? The maintenance guy may have a different interest in the data than the facilities guys or the president of the company or whatever. They may want to look at something just a simple red green sort of displays everything in the green or red. I don't need to know what the temperature at camera 13 right now is, right? So you can structure and hierarchy the whole dashboard any which way you like. There's little widgets you can plug in and change all of these things, and you can download the data. You can also share these dashboards, which is very cool. You can just send somebody a dynamic link. It's just a link like you click on for the internet, and without any user credentials, they can just do a view of that dashboard, but it's actually updating with the data. So it's a dynamically updating dashboard. So if you're on the phone with somebody and you're talking to your facilities manager and say, hey, what's going on over there? You send him the link real quick, he clicks on it, and then you can discuss what's going on without that person having to log in and just seeing that sort of thing. So that's pretty powerful. I think we have trending and all kinds of things. We have here the actual thermal imagery, so you can actually see what's going on visually, and they change temperature when there's a warning or alarm, sort of a threshold reached. And all of this stuff is highly customizable. Endless possibilities. You can shuffle these things around any which way you like. And I said as many as you want based on your business needs. You can even have a dashboard. Imagine you can have a 70-inch screen on your factory floor with I think we're going to go into the map view. You can have a map view and show the overview like this one. You can have this on a 70-inch screen sitting somewhere on the factory floor, making sure that everything is okay. And somebody walking by, they can just see the status of everything else. That does not mean that they have to be a user of the system. This is just a shared link that you have there, and everybody knows what's going on. And if something runs warm, they can see it right then and there. So it's very flexible and very powerful. And you can, as part of these map views, you can upload any sort of graphic formats, whether that's a PDF or a JPEG or whatever, that shows either the facility layout, so you have a spatial awareness. What is the camera looking at, or the sensor measuring? Where is it located? What's going on? And if something is alarming, like you see here, a couple of red exclamation mark symbols there, you know exactly where the issue is. In a complex facility, imagine an Amazon warehouse 4 stories high. There's an alarm going off. Well, you better know right away where to go. Otherwise, you're missing the point, right? So that sort of thing. Or even if you have an outdoor facility, you can have the outdoor facility plan and show where these sensors are located. But you can also have critical access points. Like imagine you would send this link to a fire department, says, hey, we have a fire situation at this facility. The firefighter is not familiar where to go other than the address, but it could be a huge facility and valuable time is lost. And keep in mind, our system detects this before smoke development. So how does the fire department know where to go if there's no smoke? Right? That complicates the matter even further. So with our dynamically updating maps, you can now send this to the fire captain. They're going to be having this up on their cell phone or tablet while they're driving to the facility. It's not going to only show them where the issue is. It shows them best access points. It shows them where's the fire hydrants, where do I turn off the gas, where's the electrical cabinet, everything they need to know to keep everybody safe. It's right there.
They're doing like a site assessment or scene assessment ever before arriving on site.
Yeah, it's full situational awareness before they even get there. I mean, how powerful is that
What
with
I
the
like
system?
about the alarms is, like you mentioned earlier, Marcus, that the alarms are also not just on what is being sensed, right? So if it's the thermal camera seeing a hotspot, but you're also the alarm is the condition of the camera itself. Is it online? Is it working? Is it running? Or a smoke detector, or a vibration sensor, or a voltmeter, whatever. But you're getting the device status or health in addition to the measurement.
Right.
And yeah, I've looked at the menus for the alarm, predefined alarms, and it's extensive. It's amazing what's in there. But I understand if there happens to be an additional alarm or alert feature you would like, you could customize that. You could have that added to the menus that are already there, or the catalog, if you will, of alarms.
Right. And even if we find sensors or any sort of interfaces that we currently cannot talk to, we have the ability to get that driver going in our intelligent gateway and quickly support or add support for
Hmm.
the new device, and then that becomes just another module that you can bring in to the cloud interface, configure, and off you go.
And you've already talked a little bit earlier about this alerting capability and it being unlimited as well in who you can notify. So the alerts, that I guess you could think of alerts. I think of alerts as this is how people get notified. And it's
Right.
based upon the alarms and the alarm menus and libraries and thresholds that you set. And you mentioned earlier that these can be staged or tiered as well on who receives the alerts or the notifications.
Exactly. Yeah, you may. I mean, it is by level of severity is what I call it, right?
There you
If
go.
there's
Yeah,
something, because sometimes you just want to check things out, and you may have set your alarm threshold or temperature threshold to something that's rather critical. It's right above the normal, so you don't want to drive people nuts and send out 20 people big fire alarm, whatever, when there may be something there that isn't quite there yet. So, but you definitely want to. It's a level of concern, so you definitely want to check it out, right? That gives you that tiered sort of approach in terms of severity, but it goes beyond that. It's also like, okay, with that level of severity, you can now say, okay, first is going to be an email, then a text, then a voice call, all of the above, all at the same time. That's all okay. But you also may have, obviously, depending on in which facility is it located, you have different people to alarm. Um, for certain situations, you may have certain people or employees that are better suited um, to respond to a particular alarm than others. So you can, based on the alarm and the severity and the location and whatever else you can come up with of this fairly complex logic, you can decide, you know what, this is really better for Bob because he knows what to do in that situation best, and or you have it on a timetable and say, well, now we're in second shift, so the alarms have to go to different people, right? So those kind of scenarios lets you really um, you know customize the alerts and how they're being sent out, and makes it very powerful.
what I love about this is, well, for one thing, it looks great on a mobile device, but again, it gets you away from being restricted to being on site to even adjust any parameters. I understand if you have the right credentials, you can use
Right.
your mobile access from anywhere that you're plugged into the internet
Exactly.
to yeah, not even view, not just view things in the status, but if you wanted to make a change on an alert or a notification or an alarm setting, that you could do that. That's, to me, is amazing.
Yeah, for instance, typical scenarios when customers tend to, when they first install the system, they tend to be a little bit too critical on the alarm thresholds. They may get a couple of false alarms because it's too close to the normal operating conditions, and maybe it's a warmer day today, and therefore they're getting a couple of. So they can just go in and tweak and say, okay, look, let's push this up by 5 degrees. This is just starting to nag me where for no reason, and I know it's just a false alarm, so let's just go in there adjust it. So there's no need, like you said, there's no need to drive into the facility, figure out where the control room is, try to remember your credentials to log in, and you can just do it from your fingertips real quick right there.
Yeah. And
If you have the credentials, obviously not
yeah.
everybody can mess with it or should mess with it, but the people that are properly trained and authorized to use the system, they can do that.
And finally, what we're showing here is what they call the client settings within the application. But what I love about it is it's extremely graphical and easy to use when it comes to setting anything up.
Yeah, I have yet to read a user manual on this thing because it's like an app. You go in, it's intuitive. You click on it. I want to change an alarm. I want to set up an alarm. Where do I click? Well, on the alarm button, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very intuitive, and that's what I like about it. And we even go as far as before we deploy systems, we actually pre-configure defaults for the customer the way we understand they want to use the system. So we take all of that away from day one, and we just configure everything up front, and they literally just dive in and use the system. And again, if there is any question, we're right here. We can access the system from anywhere we are as well, which is nice too. So our tech support people don't have to be in the office. They can do it from anywhere. They whip out their cell phone, log into the system, and change two things around, and that's it.
All right, Marcus, we've talked a lot about IEFD, what it is, applications where it can be deployed. We've really talked about the features, the capabilities. We just wrapped up really focusing on the application, the IEFD cloud. What might this look like in like a real life installation?
Right. So this is really a high level overview diagram. But even though I say it's high level, it's almost as simple as it really is. So you have your infrared cameras, potentially visible cameras with that, or any other sensors on the left, and then you have your gateway, and the gateway could be combined with either a Wi-Fi point, it could be PoE to power the cameras, power over Ethernet, or it could have a cellular modem in it. So some way to connect to the cloud, or in other words, establishing a connection to the internet, in other words, right? So that's really all there is to it. And then with any other internet-enabled device, whether that may be the computer, PC, laptop, cell phone, tablet, what have you, you just dial into the website or to your cell phone app, and you can look at everything from anywhere in the world. I mean, this is really how simple the system architecture is. Obviously, if you have hundreds of data points, it gets a little bit more complex. But it's really, and we can also distribute our gateways. It doesn't have to be a central location for one gateway. We find sometimes that especially in large facilities, where rather than having to run back the cables to a central location, which might cause a long cable run, we can also deploy multiple cellular modems and have our gateways closer to a cluster of sensors in the facility and have maybe 3 or 4 or 5 cell phone gateways. That way, again, you reduce the cable run and the complexity of the system. And our system doesn't care how many of those you have out there. It's literally indefinitely scalable. I can have 100 gateways, 1,000 gateways out there. It doesn't matter. There's one partner company of ours used this sort of an approach, and they have 70,000 endpoints. Just to put that into perspective of the system can handle easily 70,000 sensors in one application with hundreds or even thousands of gateways. It's that scalable.
Marcus, I'm curious. Let's say someone wants to explore an IEFD installation at their location. What's the best way to get started?
The best way to get started is to have that initial exploratory conversation with us. I think where we learn about what has the history been with that customer, to say, hey, where does it come from? Is it curiosity? Is it a pain factor? Is it hindsight? Right? Is it like you have just been notified by your insurance that you either they have canceled your insurance coverage, or they have increased your premiums tremendously because you did have a fairly significant loss? Is it like, what's driving you? What's your motivation to come to us? I'm always curious to learn that because it's kind
Yeah.
of important, I think, to understand that. And then we typically figure out the locality of things, right? What is the fire hazard? Is it piles? Is it a warehouse? Is it machinery? Is it, what is it? And then we typically lay out what sort of sensors we would use, where would we use them, what's their feeling about cybersecurity. In other words, would they prefer, a cellular modem architecture versus using the existing network? So we can kind of come up with an architectural plan and where these things would be located, and then kind of respond with a proposal for a solution like this and go over all the options that are there. And since it is so expandable too, a lot of customers, they start small. They're like, hey, let's put a camera here or two or three. Let us monitor, let us use the system for a month or two or three, and then once that's working great, we're just going to add on to it, and that's totally fine. You can it's plug and play. You can add more things to it. We like to know what the ultimate architecture would look like, because then we can make these gateways, we can size them up better to say, hey, using 3 cameras here and you want to scale up to 8 over there, it's better for us to size up the switches and gateways that way. But overall, it's very easily expandable that way.